Howdy, y'all. Here's Mike. We're down at Mike's Golf Shop. Talking about all things golf. That's right. We're going to talk about all things golf on the podcast. Let me tell you something. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get into some golf news. And the most incredible thing that I have seen lately in the golf world is some Phil Mickelson antics. Amazingly, as everyone knows, on the United States Open, he stopped the ball from rolling on the putting green, which was kind of, out of character for sure and very odd. And the latest thing is at this Greenbrier tournament up here, which is really supposed to be kind of a 4th of July weekend fun run for all the pros. Philly Mick decided that he was gonna go up on the front end of the tee box and stomp down some fescue grass that was impeding his ball flight. And he goes up there and stomps down a bunch of grass in front of the tee box, okay? And then once he does that, he, has a kind of a epiphany there and decided, oh, wow, maybe I just broke a rule. Now, come on, Phil. You can't go up in front of the tee box and stomp down the grass. Now, I know, he made a statement about the U.S. Open, about the, greens got out of control, and it was kind of stupid pin placements and whatnot. And then he's making another statement about stomping down the grass in front of the tee box. Now, another thing that he's making a statement about, and I realize he's 48 years old this year sometime. He's making another statement about him and Tiger Woods are going to play themselves a $10 million winner-take-all match. And he floated that out there, and now him and his buddy Tiger are going out there chumming around, and they said, hey, man, let's just round us up a little two-man match here for $10 million. And, hey, he may do it. I'm sure that Phil must be smart enough to realize that in a competitive world, his days of competing for these titles, is certainly in the sunset of his career. But anyway, pretty interesting. Philly Mick, everybody knows it. I think he's number 2 all-time money-winningest golfer, which says a lot. I mean, I'm blown away by it. I mean, obviously he's been a long hitter and got a fantastic short game. And when he first came out on tour, nobody could putt better than him. It's kind of like Jordan was. But, he's got to be thinking, hey, man, this ain't going to last too much longer. I want to go ahead and grab some more cash. In other news here, let's see. Kevin Na gets his second win at Greenbrier, which is pretty good. I hadn't had a chance to watch all of it, but I'm sure he played pretty well. He had quite a margin of victory there. Tommy Fleetwood has decided to withdraw from the Scottish Open so that he can rest for the British Open, which I think is, pretty interesting. The guy shoots a really low round that final day in the U.S. Open. Had a real chance to win and is certainly proving to be one of the best golfers in the world. Let's see what else is going on here in the world of golf news. Let's see. Carnoustie. Let's talk about Carnoustie, British Open coming up. The U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills, proved again to be a course setup disaster. I would say that Shinnecock Hills probably is every single day of the year a great test of golf for those guys, and the guy who's the main superintendent up there probably has it in tremendous shape every single day. And then the U.S. Open says, oh, yeah, we're going to have a U.S. Open down here, so we got to fly all our people in there for the next 2 years and show you how to run it. And then they fumble the ball, and, it winds up being kind of windmills out there a little bit. Now, as opposed to that, you have, for the British Open coming up, the Open Championship at Carnoustie. An amazing setup that is pretty much there every single day. They don't change it. So you're going to have slower greens. You're going to have very narrow fairways. The golf course is not overly long by, modern golfers' standards. I mean, they have some 490-yard, 510-yard par fours on there. But they also have many, many holes under 440. And, it's going to be interesting to see. I think you're going to wind up with a truly great champion out of this Carnoustie Open Championship that's coming up here. Let's see what else we got in the news. Let's see. 1990 was the year that golfing great Nick Faldo won the Open Championship. That was a pretty amazing performance, as people might remember. It was at St. Andrews. He shot an incredibly low score, and it was one of those deals where, the golf course, again, is the old course. It is what it is. It's set up the same way every single day of the year, and the wind, if it dies down, doesn't blow, then you're going to wind up with some low scores. The wind is everything over there, it seems, in those events. Other things in the news, Kevin Na gets his second win at Greenbrier, biggest check he ever got. It's pretty amazing. Sam Saunders still looking for his first win. It would be awesome to have him in the Masters. I think it would be one of the greatest stories of all time. Is if he could win the Masters, I think that would be, rekindling all the Arnie thoughts and, for many, many years to come. So let's see here. What else we got in the world of news? Our boy Van de Velde. That was Carnoustie when Van de Velde in 1999 has, I think, a 3-shot lead on the 72nd tee box. And, I think I could have won it from there. It would have been a 9-iron and a 9-iron and a 9-iron and putt until it's over. But, man, I remember watching that firsthand and seeing Curtis Strange, talk about how the guy's melting it down. It was really very, very strange. Let's see here. Stinson WDs from the Scottish Open. Let's see. He hopes to be ready for Carnoustie. Don't know exactly what's wrong with him. Kevin Na moves up in the Ryder Cup rankings, so I think that puts him up to 13th that win. So it'd be pretty cool to see Kevin Na in the Ryder Cup. He's pretty gutty little player. He said he was pretty amazed that he did in fact win. He was kind of thinking he didn't have a chance anymore, but hey, there you go. Watching Bubba Watson at Greenbrier, by the way, was kind of funny. I mean, here's a guy who is arguably having his best season ever, and for some reason, still gets so agitated with, conditions on the course and things that are going on around him. I mean, you would think that with the experience that he's got, that kind of stuff wouldn't bother him at all. But, for some reason, he still gets, I look at the conditions at the Greenbrier and thought, man, that's about as benign conditions you can get for a professional golf tournament. It had beautiful weather and perfect conditions, and, he's complaining about the greens and all this other stuff. So, I thought Bubba really had the game to do well at the United States Open at Shinnecock this year, and I was very, very shocked that he struggled so bad up there. I don't really know. I mean, he's a guy that when he gets his mindset going, he's shown that he's got a tremendous amount of game, but for some reason he just can't seem to turn off some of the distractions that are going on around him, which kind of makes you wonder what's going on there with Watson. Okay, that's pretty much rounding out the golf news that's going on. We're going to switch gears now and bring in on the line one of the most amazing caddies that I know, Jeff Sherrill, and we're going to talk about this upcoming event that we got called the British Open. We're going to get a hold of my good buddy, Jeff Sherrill, Furman Paladin Extraordinaire, an amazing golfer and knowledge person with knowledge of the game.
Hello, this is Jeff Sherrill.
Hey, Flash, what's shaking, man?
What are you doing?
Well, we're just, recording our thoughts for the world about all things golf here. And I thought I'd bring you into the loop, as just kind of one of our standard run-of-the-mill people that we talk to because of your vast, knowledge of the game and extreme talent and, all other things like that. By the way, folks out there in the golf audience world, Jeff Sherrill is a guy who went to college at Furman University, and he, in fact, taught Brad Faxon all the good things that he knows about the game of golf. And so anyway, Jeff, how about we've been talking on the show today about the upcoming British Open at Carnoustie. And tell me what you think about, watching people play that golf course over the years and what kind of challenge it's going to be to those guys.
Well, from what I've seen and from what I've heard and read, all the pros seem to like it because it is a mixture of strategy, length, the pressure of a major. It's all the things you'd want in a big time tournament, especially overseas there. Never any really negative comments about the course. The course set up, nothing tricky like the U.S. Open. You just got to get out there and golf your ball, and the guy that golfs the ball the best will win. And I think a good example is the last time they had the British Open there, Jean Vandervelde showed us maybe some flaws in what happens under pressure at a major and how your mind wanders.
Right.
I mean, literally, he could have hit 3 wedges onto the green, made a bogey, 2-putt, bogey, and won the tournament and gone down in his history as a major winner. But, I think your mind takes over saying, I can hit this shot, I can hit this shot, I can hit this shot, but you really can't hit that shot under that immense pressure.
Well, it's one of those things where you really kind of wonder. There is a point in the final round where you got to shift gears a little bit, kind of depending on position in the last few holes. It's like I've been in that position a couple times, and it's like, okay, if I got the lead with 4 or 5 holes to go, it's like I just kind of put myself on a glide path or cruise to the win. You know what I mean? You don't have to try anything too hard. You just kind of exist through it. And that dude, I remember watching that 99. They had a thing on Golf Channel last night about it. He has like 2 or 3 straight incredible up and downs for par on like 15, 16, 17 to maintain a 3-shot lead, and he's got a 3-shot lead standing on 18 tee box. I mean, of course, they talk about his caddy, saying, well, the caddy should have thrown all of his long clubs out of the bag or broke them all. I mean, what do you do? Don't you think you got to shift gears there at some point there in the final round, kind of depending on position?
Yeah, I think so. That last hole, you got to really, really be disciplined. I mean, that's a tough thing to do, though. Surely you can get a tee-ball out there somewhere, somewhere where he can get the ball on the green, but obviously he didn't.
Yeah, he hit it like straight right with a driver.
Yeah, and that's obviously pressure pushing down on you there. So, from there you got to think, hey, man, I'm in the thick rough. What do I do? How do I handle this? Part of it's the caddy. Yes, I agree. It's partly the caddy's fault. But when it's all said and done, the player pulls the club. The player, no matter what the caddy says, the player is pulling the club and making the swing. So he's got to own up to it. And I feel bad for him because that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Instead of his excellent play up to that point, you just got to say, hey, let's make a bogey. A bogey will win the tournament by 2 shots. So, just hit it out there somewhere. You can hit on the green fairly easily. And if you've got obstacles in front of us, you've got to gear down a little bit and take a deep breath and say, hey, let's be disciplined, which is very hard to do. Be disciplined and play the percentages here, knowing that you're under immense pressure. The whole world is watching. Whole golfing world's watching. Let's get out there in position where the worst I'm going to make is a bogey or at max a double bogey and win the tournament and go on to a successful career.
Right. Yeah, I know it was amazing. I remember watching it like it was like some kind of horror movie. Curtis Strange is up there in the booth, for I think it was ABC or ESPN doing it at the time. And I mean, he's like losing it up there. He's like going, dude. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you got this thing by the horns on both ends of it. All you got to do is just, what club can you hit off the tee that's going to wind up in the fairway? 9-iron, right? Then you lay up short of that burn, another 9-iron, and 9-iron on there, and we're done, type of deal. But it didn't work out that way.
So how about he didn't make a 10-footer on the last hole to get in the playoff?
No, he did make a 10-footer to get in the playoff.
So he hung in there from that perspective and got himself.
Oh yeah, that was maybe he gets it up. He got it up and down from the right bunker for a triple.
So that was impressive, at least to have this mental state to gather yourself and realize that, hey, I can still get up and down and be in the playoff. And in the playoff, I'm not sure what he did on those 3 holes, but still, it just shows you how finicky the game is. I mean, you can be playing great and the wheels fall off in 1 or 2 swings, and you're not, instead of being known for the British Open champion golf of the year, you go down as I guess you're going to say the biggest choker in the history of the game.
Yeah. So I know this never happens to you, Flash, but when you're out there playing golf and the wheels come off, and you have some like crazy thing happen to you, what's your thought process in trying to get it back together to finish it off?
Well, after being in the golf world, I'm going to say, let's see, I've been playing golf since I was 12 years old. I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years, you got to realize, hey, it's just a game. It's just a game. You're playing it for fun. You're not playing it for money. It's not your livelihood. Step back, try to take a deep breath and say, hey, what's the best way to get back to where I was? If you're making pars and birdies, all of a sudden you make a double or a triple or a couple bad swings get you in trouble. Just try to get back to the mental state that you were at. And, hey, I made these many pars or these many birdies. What was I doing then to get me in that position? So don't focus on the negative. Try to focus on the positive. Aim small, miss small. What movie was that?
Patriot.
Yeah. Aim small, miss small. So just get back in the groove of trying to aim at a small target and just focus in on making a couple good swings, get back to making a par or 2 and hit the center of the green. Going for a pin isn't necessarily the best shot every time. Just center of the green. Par is your friend.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get started back. Just make some pars and make some good swings and try to relax a little bit and enjoy yourself. Again, it's just a game.
So tell me about lately. We got Phil Mickelson out there. He's always been kind of an outlandish kind of person. Seems like it's kind of getting a little crazier with age with him. Up here at the U.S. Open, he kind of pulls a John Daly on a putt that he knocked off the green. And yesterday, it turns out at the Greenbrier, Sunday, this past Sunday at the Greenbrier, he walks up in front of the tee box before he's going to hit his drive and stomps down a bunch of fescue grass that was sticking up in front of the tee box. Now, granted, your pathway to the fairway needs to be unobstructed, okay, for sure. I think it's kind of crazy what some of these people do with grass. But what do you think about old Philly Mick going up there and stomping down the grass?
You would think that he would just, I don't know, have the sense of mind. He might be considered what I call loose cannon.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to come out of his mouth.
Right.
Or his game. Let's just face it.
Right.
He's hit pretty squirrely shots in his years of finishing second at the U.S. Open. But, yeah, to tap down the grass in front of him really makes you wonder what was going through his head. Because, you cannot repair a ball mark. Say you hit it short of a par 3 and
right.
you have a big ball mark there and you cannot tap it down. So I don't know what was going through his head. That's just maybe it's his being left-handed that's what messed him up.
Well, what do you think about his chances at Carnoustie?
I think Lefty's still got game. He's got stuff to prove that he's still a major winner. And he's getting up in the years, but he hits it plenty far, and he still has a good short game. I don't see why he can't compete. Again, a lot of it was weather related. I think he's a decent weather player. I think there's a bunch of guys that could win this week at Carnoustie. It's just who's got the hot hand and who's got the mental stability during a major tournament. It's tough. It's tough golf.
Yeah, going back to that 99 win. As a matter of fact, I think they had another Open at Carnoustie. I think it was 07. Padraig Harrington beat Sergio. If you remember that one, Padraig won 2 straight British Opens, 07 and 08.
Yes.
And that was at Carnoustie in 07. Sergio misses about a 10-footer on that last hole. Remember it kind of hit the hole a little bit.
Yeah.
That kind of, he kind of had the feeling that he was unlucky at that point, for many, many years. He was always acted that way. It's kind of strange. But back there in 99, Vandevelde played some really incredible golf at first 71 holes. And he also, from watching that show last night, he made, I don't know, at least a dozen 30 and 40-foot putts, throughout that whole thing.
Yeah.
They said he was really putting incredibly well. So that kind of tells me that, it's with greens that are, I would say they're probably going to be just about perfect and a little bit slower speed than what these guys are used to. Somebody that's a really good putter probably has got the main chance out there. Who's the best putter out there on the tour these days?
Wow, there's so many of them. And again, that's a streaky thing. Those guys, it's a putting contest. We all know that. It's been told many times that it all comes down to ball, putting, because all the guys are good ball strikers. I mean, they all hit it within a blanket of each other, tee balls. And there's a few out there that hit longer, sure, but when it's all said and done, it's just a putting contest. Putting wise, goodness. Off the top of my head, I kind of like Jason Day. I like Zach Johnson.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take Justin Johnson. I think he's very streaky. I think Jordan Spieth, obviously, he's got to be at the top of that list.
Right.
He's got the left-hand low going on. That's kind of a big trend these days, is to keep that putter as square as possible. And
what do you think about Fleetwood?
Fleetwood, boy, he's hot. He's definitely hot. He's
ready to win, isn't he?
He's the real deal. He could do it. I don't know if he gets haircut or not, but
no, he can't cut his hair. Everybody knows him with that long hair.
So it's going to be an exciting major to watch. I guess Phil Mickelson will have a chance if he doesn't tap down the grass.
Really? So what do you think about the setup? Over here at Carnoustie, they're kind of known for some tight fairways, and I don't know if you've had a chance to even look at it online lately, but they got some good graphics online showing the holes and stuff. And basically, there's bunkers out there at about 280. And they mow the fairway to the outside of the bunker leading up to the bunker, and then past the bunker, the fairway only extends to the inside of the bunker, so the fairways are getting narrower all the way to the green, and that last 100 yards, you pretty much got to walk single file up through there. And, the greens are going to be a little slow. There's going to be a lot of grass over there. It's probably not burnt out from what I can tell. So, I mean, it's going to be a little slower around the green and a little faster getting to the green. So, how do you think that compares to this last Shinnecock Hills Open, U.S. Open we saw?
They're going to have to, like any major, they're going to have to stripe it off the tee, get it in the fairway. That's going to be the key part. It's just, one, get it in the fairway.
Right.
Those guys hit it so far that, they can hit their little stinger shot like Tiger did for many years and get that ball rolling, because it's going to be hard over there. The ball's going to roll every which way. So you got to get in the fairway first, and then dial in your second shots. Again, I said earlier, go to the center of the green's a good shot. Par's your friend.
Right.
So, comparatively, again, the weather, I don't want to say the U.S. Open was tricked up, but just happened that it got burned out. I think Carnoustie is going to be, the weather over there is not going to be that extreme to where, or the greens to where it's going to be so hard and so fast around the greens or on the greens that it's going to cause the scores to go inflationary high into the mid-70s like they were at Shinnecock. So it'll be exciting. The British Open is always a nice break on the majors, because you have Augusta, where everybody knows what to expect. They have the same course every year. U.S. Open always changes. The conditions could change year to year. 1 year 1,200 wins, 1 year even par wins, 1 year 1 over par wins, and then you go to the British Open where the weather is a factor. All the courses are pretty different that they play. Some roll out, like you were saying, some don't. Some greens are fast and some greens are slow. Some of those deep bunkers and some aren't. They can escape from them. But it should be a fun. I think everybody wants a breath of fresh air, something different, and those guys will get it after going through that last major at Shinnecock, that they need some consistency and nothing really they consider like they've lost the course, like Zach Johnson said, which, I don't know. Did they really lose the course, or was that just golf god saying this way it's going to play today?
Right. Well, I know that, to me it looks like they trick up that Shinnecock Hills. Like I said, you go back and study the U.S. Opens they had there. I remember 86, I think it was. Ray Floyd won. I mean, it was a who's who of guys in there, and the course was much shorter, and there was a lot more trouble around the greens. In the this last time, in 2018, they'd gone in there and mowed down every tree. They cut down every single bush. I mean, there was nothing left out there but grass, and then they grew up some knee-deep grass and all that kind of garbage. And, to me, and then they made the fairways wider. I couldn't figure that out. It's like they got 80-yard wide fairways, and then they got, chest-high grass.
Yes.
Why not just give them a 30-yard runway out there of decent fairway, and then an inch and a half worth of rough, 2 inches of rough is plenty to knock the spin off the ball. You can't stop it. I mean, that's really all you need, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's plus, do people want to see, is it an audience-based setup? Do you want to see people make, 18 under par win the U.S. Open, or would you rather see people shoot even par or 3 over to win? I don't know which way. I guess everybody has their opinion on that. So,
well, that's that whole par discussion anyway. Which to me, 18 holes level fours is kind of where it ought to be. That's old school thinking, and these days they chop out 2 par 5s off that and make it a par 70. They've done that for I don't know, the last 25 years on a lot of great golf courses. So par is kind of a meaningless score in my book.
Also, you got to think about this. The way the equipment and technology has gone, these guys are so good. People really don't realize how good they really are unless you go out there and watch them or play with some of them.
Yeah,
it's incredible how far they hit it, and you're talking 350 yards off the tee for a lot of those guys is normal.
Right.
And it's just crazy how far they hit it, and their short games are so deft because they know that from 50 yards and in, that's where the game is scored. They are just, I don't know if you can make a golf course hard enough to where they where they shoot over par, even par. So Carnoustie should be a good challenge because it's a whole different feel to the course, the way the course rolls, and greens will be a little slower, which, again, everybody has to play the same course. We know that from the Moccasin Bend Metro tournament recently. It doesn't matter if they're slow or fast. Everybody's got to play them.
Right.
Those guys are so good that I don't know if you can set up a course too difficult for them.
All right, so you got to give me before we turn it off here today. You got to give me 3 picks. Your standard pick. Your kind of unheard of pick, and then maybe a dark horse.
Okay, I'll stick with Jordan Spieth for the everybody knows pick.
All right.
What's the next pick I need to make?
Just kind of out of the way kind of pick.
I'll stick with Zach Johnson.
That sounds good. And how about a dark horse for this one?
A dark horse?
Who's the Jean Van de Velde this week?
Oh, my goodness. I haven't seen the qualifier list. If there's anybody, I'd like to see somebody come out of the box that, either barely got in or I'll tell you who I'll go with. I'll go with J.B. Holmes.
J.B. Holmes. How about that? Okay. All right, man. Well, I'm as like everybody else, we're looking forward to watching it next week. This week we got the Scottish Open over there. So, Flash, Jeff Sherrill, I sure do appreciate you joining us today, and thanks for all your insightful comments. And we'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
All right, we buy golf. See you, bud.
See you. Howdy, y'all. This here's Mike from Mike's Golf Shop. This is an important announcement from our sponsor, Mike Golf Shop. Just want to let y'all all know, what do? We buy golf. That's right. We buy golf clubs. Go to mikesgolfshop.com. Click on the tab Sell Your Golf Clubs, and we have an automated system. No matter where you live in the United States or the world, you can go on there, and you can sell us your golf clubs. And we got a special going right now. When you sell us your golf clubs online, we will, in fact, send you a free dozen of Pro V1 5A used golf balls that are really good. And all you got to do is go on there, fill up your cart full of your clubs that you have from our database. We'll send you a USPS label for free, and then you slap that label on a box and ship us your clubs, and we'll send you the money. It's pretty simple. Okay, that's Mike's Golf Shop, mikesgolfshop.com. Okay, back to the show. Okay, guys, it is my distinct honor to round up today Bobby Lopez, teaching pro. We're going to call him right now. We're calling Bobby Lopez.
Hello.
Is this Bobby?
No, he'll be right here in a minute. Hold on.
Hey, audience, I just want to let you know who I'm talking to today. It is my distinct honor and great privilege to have on the show today world-renowned PGA golf teaching professional Bobby Lopez.
Yeah, you can come over by my house on Sunday nights and watch me take the garbage out with my old lady yelling at me.
Isn't that awesome? Hey, man. Hey, Bobby, thank you so much for taking the time today to spend a few minutes talking golf with us. I sure do appreciate that.
Where are you, in Tennessee?
Yeah, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
I've been to Nashville before, and that was a riot. That place was terrific.
Oh, well, we're about the same as that. A little bit of hill country and kind of not too different than Virginia. So
what did you want to talk about? Go ahead.
Oh, man, we're talking golf. We're talking all kinds of things. First of all, from what I understand, you are, in fact, a veteran of the PGA Tour in Europe or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, many moons ago, back in the early 70s. So,
okay.
I mean, it's a long time ago. But things have changed a lot. I mean, back then, holy crap. First prize was like $3,000 or something, $4,000.
Right.
It was a different world back then.
So tell me, have you ever played Carnoustie?
Yes.
You have?
Carnoustie's, in fact, when I'd gone out there, this was 1975, I think.
Okay.
It was such a small little town. There was nothing around there. I don't know how it is today, but it was really small.
Right.
And the neat part about the British, at least back then, is you could gamble.
Okay.
I'm looking at the odds right now.
Right.
At some, they have a tent there. You can go into the tent and you can place a bet on a player, which was really freaked me out being from the United States. I mean, you just don't do that.
Yeah, it seems like Rory McIlroy's dad won a bunch of money on him winning one time, didn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah. So tell me, I also kind of did a little research on you too, Bobby, and of course we'll get into, how people can find you online and stuff like that. World renowned.
You didn't get my past jail record, did you?
No, I hadn't. That stuff's been scrubbed, I think.
Okay.
But but anyway.
The time I was locked up in Lima, Peru. Did they get that in there?
So
right.
Tell, from what I understand now, you kind of hung around this dude named Cotton. Isn't that right?
Henry Cotton?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not a lot. But see, he used to teach at a golf course called Soto Grande, which was about an hour and a half's drive from where I was in Marbella.
Okay.
And he'd have you hit these tires, I don't know if you've ever seen some of the videos, but he'd have you smack tires. And he was very, very handsy. He wanted quick hands in the golf. And I learned a lot from him. He was a really nice guy.
Well, I mean, he's got a heck of a record, too. He won the Open 3 times. Once at Carnoustie.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I knew he'd won it before. I didn't know how many times, but he was a riot. He had these car tires out there. He'd have you smacking the car tires.
How about that? So
you can go on YouTube and see
what does that do for you? What does that do for you, Bobby?
Well, you got to remember back in those days, people were very handsy, very hands conscious.
Right.
I mean, you could talk about quite a generation back because, geez, back then he was probably close to 65 or something when I saw him, and I was only 23 then. So, and I'm 68 now, so you figured, he's dead.
Right, gotcha. Yeah.
Then I made the hole, covered it up. But, back in the old days, they played a lot with their hands.
Yeah.
A lot of hand motion, where today they quiet the hands down and turn the body more, but
right.
The equipment's different, too.
Oh yeah, and there ain't no doubt about that. So tell me about this Carnoustie layout. What's your understanding of what that thing's going to be like for a British Open?
Well, here's a couple of things. Of course, I'm going to say something that's going to be unpopular, but I don't think this should be called the British Open. It should be called the British Masters.
Okay.
Because you look at a lot of the players. Now, I'm going to haul off some names here right here. Look, Sandy Lyle, Dave Duval. There's a lot of, Tom Lehman,
ceremonial player,
Justin Leonard. They had these, lifetime exemptions. John Daly. John Daly hasn't been winning anything on the seniors tour for
right.
Now he's playing Darren Clark. I haven't seen him in I don't know how long.
Right.
So there's so many players in there. If you're going to call something an Open, I think it should be hold it on 4 courses, let everybody play. The top players get in the tournament, no exemptions.
Got it.
And that's how it ought to be. I mean, because everything's set up to where here there might be a really qualified person can't get in because there's only so many spots. You only play so many players.
Right. Over here,
not even playing.
Over here in the United States, in the U.S. Open, they trick up the course somewhat. Do you think they're going to change Carnoustie at all from regular play to what what this Open's going to be?
Well, they had a big stink in 1999. Because they made the course really tough.
Right.
And Sergio Garcia cried evidently. Oh, poor Sergio. Poor Sergio. Ay, qué cosa, mira, hombre, que la hostia. ¿Qué pasa aquí que estoy llorando? Somebody shot just smack him across the face.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was a bunch of guys that shot 80 and some of them that shot 90. And listen, that's what an Open's supposed to be like. You
right.
bunch of pencil neck metrosexuals. What's the matter with you?
That's
clowns?
right. The harder the better, right?
Exactly. And I think it helps golf because you look at the Open, except for that one Saturday that we had here that they did put the pins in bad places.
Right.
But outside of that, everybody whining about the golf course. Stop whining. The very next week, they're shooting 62 or 63, so the golf course is set up totally different.
Right.
They can't shoot 62 on these courses. And guess what? Most people can't shoot 62 anyway. So
that's exactly
when they see
right.
the pros shooting 81, it makes them happy. It says, hey, maybe this is something I can do too. It's not true because it's on a harder golf course, but still, it gives the regular guy some hope. I mean, make it hard.
Yeah.
So I think they got scared off in '99, and they say they'll never make the course as hard as they did then. And when they did, it made it tougher. They started calling it Carnoustie.
Right. Now, I know you've been around competitive golf for a long time, and you worked with a lot of guys that are, good players. What do you just tell us, maybe something that you've seen that works good to kind of get your game ready for a big tournament?
The real truth is you can get out on the range and you're just roping it. You're saying, I've never hit it this good in my whole life, and you go out there and absolutely stink it up.
Right.
And you can get on the driving range and you're stinking and you're so scared. You say, I might as well withdraw right now and not even play. I'm going to make a fool out of myself. And you end up having the best round ever. Anybody who tells you they really know, they're full of crap. You've got to have a system that you're using, meaning both your swing and your practice routine, your pre-shot routine, that you believe in and you trust.
Right.
And you say, hey, I prepare as best as I can. When I go out, whatever happens, happens. It's just, this is the way it goes.
Yeah. I know in my own case, I've been playing golf for 47 years. And, I never have been any good, but I played a lot of tournament golf. And
geez, you don't sound like you're over 19.
Well, thanks, man. So anyway, it's like I've always golfed better with a manufactured swing, something that kind of created confidence versus just kind of feeling and just swinging at it. What do you think is it different for everybody, or is it something that you got to have some keys to be able to get yourself through?
I've gone both ways myself.
Yeah.
I've had guys that I've talked to were tour players. I'm not going to mention names, but
yeah.
Would say, hey, get it back going the first 18 inches. The rest is a blur.
Right.
It's how you start the club off, the tempo that you have when you start it off.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get in rhythm. If you got a rhythm going, and you can keep getting the club face back to the ball square, at least you keep moving the ball forward.
Right.
It's all your money's made 85 yards, and then the rest is just don't hit it in the crap. Keep it on the short grass.
Right.
And there's so much emphasis today in just knocking the snot out of it, hitting the 350. Well, yeah, if they set the course up like they do most of the time, it's no big deal because the rough's not that bad, and you're hitting a wedge or a 9-iron.
Yeah.
But when
the whole bomb and gouge mentality. I kind of think Vijay Singh is the guy that invented that. But that seems to be what's going on in professional golf these days, is just bomb and gouges. We saw Koepka at the United States Open this year, who won. He didn't have no trouble with shin high rough. That dude can move the ball out of that stuff.
He's strong as a bull. Compared to the guys in my era in the 70s, they're so much bigger, so much stronger.
Right.
And they can knock the snot out of it, and the equipment's better. Like I said, the ball is better. That's another thing.
There ain't no doubt about that. So what do you think the course designers really ever have a chance against these guys these days?
Well, yeah, let me tell you what. You take the Masters.
Yeah.
And they've lengthened that golf course, 3-4 times?
Right.
And still the hole that busts their chops is number 12, and it ain't but a 9-iron.
Boy, that's so true.
Then you go to Jacksonville, and they got that big course for the TPC. And what's the hole that busts their chops over there? 99 yards.
Yeah.
And they're making triple bogeys and quadruple. You don't have to make courses long. I think they went in the wrong direction. I wanted to make courses longer where you needed more real estate, more fertilizer, more cost, more everything. I'd have made them tighter. I'd have taken the driver out of their hands where they couldn't even think about using driver on every hole.
Right.
Because it would be so tight. It's make it a strategic game rather than a bombing game. But, the NFL's no different. They made all the rules now. If you touch the quarterback, you almost have to call an ambulance.
Absolutely right.
The receivers go out, and if they even get touched with a pinky finger, they're right away looking for a yellow flag.
Right.
And because the NFL thinks you want to see games that are 45 to 38. Well, the PGA thinks you want to see guys bomb at 350.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd rather see them control the golf ball.
Well,
I don't think could make it today.
That's the thing that I remember. And of course, I ain't never been a long hitter. I think I've been like 242 my whole life. And it's like back in the day when it was Persimmon and Balata, the longest hitter on the planet Earth was maybe 25, 30 yards past me, and now it's 100 yards.
Oh yeah.
So that really changes the David and Goliath nature of the game, I think.
That's what I'm telling you. Trevino couldn't make it today. In fact, you see Trevino, how small he is?
Yeah.
If all the Mexicans were the same size he is, we wouldn't need a wall bigger than 5 foot.
Well, Bobby, I do want to kind of get into. Yeah, man. I do want to kind of get into. If you got just another minute here, I'd like to get into some of the things about. I mean, obviously you're kind of a world-renowned, legendary teaching guy about the golf swing, and especially, I'm looking for all of my people out there to go onto YouTube and check out Bobby Lopez, and he's got.
Just go to YouTube at /Quick Fix Golf.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. And you got a website out there too where they can get in touch with you and stuff, right?
QuickFixGolf.com.
Cool. And, you can send Bobby some videos of your swing. He's really good about responding and helping people out and that sort of thing. So tell us, Bobby, when it comes to driving the golf ball, which we know is very important at a major like the U.S. Open or the British Open, either one, what are some of your key concepts for, say somebody who's at least shooting in the 80s and below? How can you improve your driving?
The thing that most of the guys are doing now, and it's really come from using the TrackMan, is they're teeing the ball. They're using the 4-inch tee, which is the maximum tee you could use allowable by law. So you put that tee all the way up near your left toe, move the ball way up in your stance, and hit the ball on the upswing. And once you can get the launch angle where you want it, drop your driver down from 10.5 to 9.5, for instance, or 9.5 to 8.5. And as you drop down the loft on the driver, you get more ball speed off the face.
Oh.
So it's not just club head speed, it's ball speed.
Got it.
And you get ball speed by hitting the center of gravity of the club and by having less loft. So normally you wouldn't be able to hit possibly, I'm just making this up, an 8.5-degree driver off the tee with the ball, an inch or two back off your left foot, and you're sort of hitting it level or on the way down. You want to put the tee way up front, hit it on the way up, and then the actual launch angle is going to be the loft on the club plus the path.
Got it.
Because if you're on an upward path of 5 degrees, add 5 plus 8.5, you got 13.5.
Got it.
So then you might be able to lower it to 7.5 because you're looking for a 12.5 launch angle. Gabish?
Yeah, man. So
See?
when you work with people, I know you're doing lessons over there where you're actually in person teaching people all the time. Do you also use the launch conditions and the TrackMan and that sort of stuff along with teaching them technique?
Well, we have a TrackMan at our Myrtle Beach location, but I use the ES14, that EAS thing in the Richmond location, which is, as far as I'm concerned, it has enough. I mean, you can go crazy with all these numbers.
Okay.
I'm a little bit old school and saying, what you want to do is get the swing to where you're hitting the ball in the center of gravity of the golf club. And that has to do with both the fitting and and understanding that person's swing and balance and tempo and rhythm. I've seen people where you take a half an inch off their club and their whole swing changes. Right. Amazing. It's just absolutely amazing.
So, I hate to just boil it all down to a couple different things here, but in your opinion, people who are, and let's just throw out everybody that's over 90, and the guys that are in the 80s trying to go lower, what is it that you see kind of in the swings that are common that they can actually improve on quickly?
In most cases, I would cut back, make my swing smaller, not bigger.
Okay.
Get some face tape and put it on the face of the driver and make sure I keep hitting it in the center of the club face. And I would work on 85 yards and in. You got to convert. If you think of golf like football,
yeah,
you got first down play, which is the driver. That's important. You got to be second down in something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be, if you hit your tee shot in the woods or in somebody's backyard or something, now you're second down to 20.
That's right.
Win the game. Ask the Dolphins, they'll tell you.
Right.
So now you got to have a decent tee shot, but then your second down play is not the end of the world, but third down is. If you can convert on third down, you win a lot of football games. So every time you miss a green, if you can get up and down 50% of the time, your scorecard's going to go down big time.
Right.
Because the best on tour are hitting 13 greens in regulation. Average is 12, so they're missing 6.
Right.
But the 6 they miss, they're getting up and down 60% of the time.
Yeah.
If you're 9 and 9, so you got 9 holes that you're not hitting in regulation, Well, and let's say you average the 9 you're hitting in regulation, that ain't bothering you. You're probably even par on those 9 holes.
Mm-hmm.
The other 9 holes is where you're at least 9 over or more.
Right.
So if you're 9 over, that's an 81. So if you could convert 50% of those, you could shoot a 76.
There you go. There you go.
See, you got to burn that into the candle. Everybody wants to hit the ball further, hit the ball straighter, and get better at getting up and down from everywhere.
Got it. All right, tell me about this now. You know, iron shots hitting to the green, kind of distance control and trajectory seems to be the most important things to get it on the green. So how do you know, what's the thing to help the average guy out there make solid contact?
Again, make the swing smaller. Make the swing smaller and really concentrate on the club face. If you know where the club face is, you got it made. If you don't know where your club face is, take a video of your swing and send it to me, and I'll tell you where it is.
Right. Oh man, that's awesome stuff.
But you got it, because the ball's going to go where the club face is.
All right, so tell me about this too. Now, over here in this British Open that we got coming up, I mean, I know it's impossible to pick somebody that you think is going to win this thing. But who are some players that you like, Bobby?
Well, yeah, you're right. I hate picking all that kind of stuff, but I think they're way off. Well, I don't know. You know, they got McIlroy's going off at 14-1.
Okay.
Jordan Spieth 16-1. Justin Rose 16-1. I think Justin Rose. I don't know. It may be too important to him.
I know Justin Rose in the U.S. Open. I kind of thought he had it, you know, and because you think his ball striking is going to be the best ever, but he had a pretty bad Saturday. It seemed like, or maybe even the last round. I can't remember. He was missing a lot of irons and stuff to the right, which is really rare for him.
Well, I'll tell you one guy that could do something at 40-1. I don't know that I wouldn't place a little bet on Phil Mickelson.
Really?
He's 40-1. Yeah.
Is he going to get to tap down the grass in front of the tee box over there?
Then I'll tell you another one out of left field is going at 61 is Adam Scott. Now, Adam Scott can play that golf course.
Yeah, you know what? And it's like with the little slower green, he probably can putt about as good as anybody too, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, you know, it's hard to say. You know, you have a lot of the fairways there are flat, except for a couple of holes. And then you got some holes that are ridiculous, like 16 is about 250-yard par 3. I mean,
right.
You need a bus to get to the green, but
okay. We can't talk Carnoustie and the Open Championship without talking a little Jean Van de Velde. And you know, he's got a 3-shot lead through 71 holes at the 99 British Open. Tell me what in the world your thoughts are on that entire 18th, 72nd hole he played.
If I was this caddy, I would have handed him a 5-iron and I would have run.
Right. That would have been it.
Lost in the crowd somewhere where he couldn't find me. I said, "You better hit this. You ain't hit nothing. Take your pick."
So on the 18th tee shot at Carnoustie, can you hit a 5-iron over the first little creek onto the fairway?
No, I'd have left it short.
Okay. And then play short of the second one.
Yeah.
And then knock her on the green.
Stroke lead.
Right.
Why take a chance? If all you got to do is make bogey, double bogey.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Did you watch it? Were you watching it when it happened?
Yeah, I remember it vaguely, and I remember him standing in the water. He'd take his shoes off.
Yeah.
Got in the water, and, I mean, come on. It's not using your head. But, hey, you know, what can I tell you?
Hey, Bobby.
Oui, monsieur.
The French. They're over at World Wars, I think.
I hit the bunker.
So, man, hey, I really do appreciate you spending the time with us today, Bobby. And, of course,
my pleasure.
Tell the people again how they can kind of find you online and stuff like that again.
QuickFixGolf.com. Or if you go to YouTube, it's YouTube at /QuickFixGolf. Send me a video of your swing. I'll do a complete analysis, send it back with a drill for you to do, too. All free. Man,
that's awesome stuff. Bobby, I sure do appreciate you spending the time, and we appreciate your contribution here today.
You the man.
Thanks, Bobby.
Now, where's your website so we can listen to this? I can send some folks to listen to it.
MikesGolfShop.com, and this This is the inaugural episode of the podcast, so it won't be posted until probably tomorrow. And I'll send you a text how to share it with people.
Good. We'll send some folks your way.
You're the man. Thanks, buddy.
All right, Mikey. Thanks,
See you
pal.
later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, that's it for today. Mike's Golf Shop, All Things Golf Podcast, episode number 1. Thanks a lot to Bobby Lopez and Jeff Sherrill for being on the show today. And we'll look forward to some upcoming episodes and some more cool people from the world of golf help you out in your competitive golf and all things golf. See you later.